Hi, I'm Chioma Isiadinso. I'm the CEO of Expartus. Welcome to today's episode. I'm going to be talking to you today about the behavioral interviews. First, I want to congratulate you for having gotten this far in the admissions process. If you're considering doing an interview for business school, just know that you will get a handful of behavioral interviews at some schools, and then there are some schools such as MIT and Stanford where you will get a lot of behavioral types of questions. So it's important that you're ready, okay, for such interview questions. So the question I often get is, how do you prepare for such an interview? Well, I mean, it's similar to a lot of the ways you prepare. Obviously, you practice as you would with any type of interview. But the one nice thing about behavioral interviews is that you have a chance to tell your story. It is your story. It is a chance for you to answer a question that is not a theoretical question about sometime in the future, what if scenarios, how you would respond. It's really a question that focuses on what you've actually done. You know, it's that simple. When did you deal with this particular situation, and how did you experience it, and what did you do? That is really the basics of a behavior type of question. So expect that you will face this question, and to prepare for it, really, it's good to just start with a framework, because obviously storytelling is a good way of sharing your information, but it can also create a trap for applicants, because in trying to tell your story, you can get so mired in the details that you lose where you're trying to go. You forget the question, and you highlight the non-important things, and you lose time. Because remember, all the interviews at top business schools, they tend to last between anywhere from 30 minutes at Harvard to about 45 minutes at Stanford to about an hour at other schools, and it can vary from school to school. But you don't have a lot of time. You blink and the time is done. So the way to approach a behavioral type of interview question is to have a framework that says, what's the situation? Okay, what are the steps you took? What actions did you take? And then what are the results? Okay, and then once you finish sharing what the results were, it's also important to share what you learned, some insight that you gleaned from the experience. I think that can also help to personalize the experience and to reveal something about you that the admissions interviewer didn't know before. So expect that in whatever question that you get, that you will probably spend about a couple of minutes responding to the question. Try to keep your responses as short as possible, and focus on the who, when, where. So in doing the situation part of a behavioral interview question, you want to talk about so it was at my first job, 6 months into the job, my boss asked me to X. So let's say it's a question that says, when did you manage a difficult team? So you say, 6 months into my job, my boss, Johnson, who's the head of whatever group, asked me to do X, asked me to lead this team. The person who used to lead it had just taken a leave of absence, or had just been fired, or whatever the circumstance that captures the situation. Okay, then you don't quickly say, okay, so that's the situation, and then I had 7 people that I was leading. These 7 people were more senior than me. What's the obstacle? What's the challenge? Or they were already sort of behind the deadline. There was a lot of infighting. So quickly get to what's the tension, what's the challenge, what makes the situation a difficult one. Okay, and then you want to spend the meat of the response to talk about what you did, because at the end of the day, you're being evaluated for business school, and you're being looked at to ascertain your leadership potential, what you're going to bring to the class. So you want to spend more time in this area talking about the actual steps you took. So I spent time investing in figuring out. I didn't make any assumptions. I just sort of suspended my assumptions, spent time getting to know each team member. And what I found was X. You then describe how you were able to build relationships, or identify people who had core strengths in one area versus another, and how you were able to leverage their unique strengths and expertise, and how you were able to kind of rally the team together and get everybody together towards the same vision, and how you delivered, and then you then get to the results. What did you guys accomplish? And in the results section, it's very important that you talk about the achievements, and obviously showing that you led the achievements, right? But also give credit to others, so you don't sort of hoard all the accolades and say, I did it, I did it, and nobody else contributed anything. Because again, that's part of what you're being evaluated for. The ability, the interpersonal skills that you have, and how you're able to work well within a group, and even when there's difficulties or challenges. And then finally, as I said earlier, you want to highlight what you learned from the experience. So it's a mouthful, but it's really a good framework. So talk about situation, the challenges that you faced, and then the results that you achieved, and then so what, the takeaway for you. Practice, 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 and come up with a bunch of examples. Imagine like, about 20 or so, or even 30 questions that you could be asked, and just practice them. Practice in front of a camera, on your phone or your desktop, laptop, just to see how you respond. Time yourself so that you get very comfortable speaking and getting to telling the story in a very detailed way, but also not rambling and not giving too much details. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it. I mean, just know that there's going to be a variety of questions you're going to get. Questions like, when did you fail, and how did you deal with it? When did you work with a project that did not meet its objectives? When did you lead a team, as I said? When were your values challenged? They may ask you questions even outside of your professional environment. Say, tell me about a time when you were able to help someone who was struggling to overcome some struggle that they had. And this could be an example that you talk about within the work environment, or it could be an example you use from your own personal life, or some extracurricular activities. I think it's a question like that. It's a good time for you to also diversify. If a lot of examples you've used prior had been professionally, so from your professional life, it might not be a bad idea to sprinkle in one or two examples, unless they explicitly say, tell me about a work example. It might not be a bad idea to use an example outside of work to show the diversity of your experiences as well. So that's it. The behavior type of interview questions are great. You should absolutely look at it favorably, actually. It's a chance for you to tell your story. So you want to just mine the data of all the different examples from your life and practice a variety of different scenarios so that you can be ready for it. We have an interview guide that we've put together here at Expartus, and you can just go to my website, expartus.com, and you can sign up for it. And we wish you all the best with your interview. And if you have any questions or comments, definitely send them our way. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All the best.